All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We are here to talk about decorating, some decorating tips and tricks. So what we're going to be doing in this rotation is I am going to walk you through everything that we did in our building, our hallways, our classrooms, our main set, our entryways and welcome areas and things like that, and just kind of talk to you really quickly about everything that we decorated when we did Jungle Journey back in June. I want you to be encouraged by this talk, not discouraged by this talk. Sometimes we go a little over the top, and that's okay if you're an over-the-top person. But if you want to just grab a couple of ideas today and implement those, that's what I hope that you walk away from this time with. And so we're just going to jump right in, show you some very practical, easy, and inexpensive ideas as well, I hope. And we'll also get into how we build it. I noticed that a lot of you are like me, that when you walk up to these scene setters and things, that you walk around to the back side of the scene setters and things because you want to know how that works and everything. So we'll try to do a little bit of that as well. My name's Matt, and got the privilege of being in the pilot church. And so we're going to just get things rolling. And I wanted to start with our hallways today. We have 3 different hallways at our church that we decorate every year, and we try to decorate each one of those with a different theme, okay? And so the very first one I want to show you is our jungle hallway. This was the hallway that we used that is primarily where our younger kids walk up and down the hallway to their classrooms. And so we went crazy with vines this year. These vines that you're seeing all over the walls, and as we go through this, I'll show you some more close-up photos of these vines as well, are entirely made out of roll tablecloth, okay? Completely made out of roll tablecloth. What you need to do is Google this, how to cut vines out of roll tablecloth, all right? So you buy rolls of this tablecloth, you pull them out as long as you are from floor to ceiling or wherever you're gonna hang them, you fold them a certain way, you cut them, kind of like when you're making snowflakes as kids and stuff, you cut them a certain way. I won't get into the details of that because I don't know them, but it is on the internet. And so you just cut these roll tablecloths over and over and over again, and we decorated about a 100-foot hallway with an unbelievable amount of roll tablecloth. We started with teenagers cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. We did a nice little color palette with these. Let me see if I can find my color palette. This kind of gives you a little bit of the color palette here. You can see at the top. We did 3 different shades of green. Those were our primary color there of green, but then we sprinkled in a little bit of blue, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of brown or goldish tablecloths every so often, and we hung them every few inches. We have hanging ceiling at our church, ceiling tiles, and so all we did was just tuck them in between the ceiling tile and the rail. And then when VBS is over, you just walk down the hall like this and pull them all down. And so we had a lot of teenagers on ladders and on little pieces of rolling scaffolding just going down and hanging in the color pattern that we had. They came up with their formula of this green, that green, gold, and our hallway decorators. So that lined the side of our hallway all the way down. That wasn't the only thing that we did across to kind of tie in from one side of the hallway to the other. This is just a furring strip. It's a small piece of wood that you buy. It's 8 feet long. You get it at the hardware store. We wrapped it in some burlap, and then we hung it with some eye hooks to the ceiling and some ceiling grid hooks, and then we hung other vines off of it. We started also cutting leaves months in advance. We cut all different shapes, sizes, and colors of leaves and you'll see just all over our place. And then we also used roll paper. So if you take roll paper like butcher paper or brown roll paper and twisting those into a second type of vine. I think in this hallway we used about 4 different varieties of vines. We have the tablecloth ones we talked about. We have roll paper vines in this hallway. We used paper chains You can see up here across the top just simple loop paper chains where kids can start making those right now with a roll of tape and some strips of paper. Those kind of mimic some vines as well. And then there were other areas where we actually hung some purchased vines. This is more of like the ivy style vine, and we incorporated that hanging down from our walls in certain spaces as well. You'll notice that on those roll paper vines, we also when our kids come in to our Sunday morning services, we have a few minutes to keep them occupied before we get into the day. We actually set up a little craft station in the back of our kids area, and we had them make paper flowers for weeks before VBS. And so our craft leaders actually taught them how to make paper flowers. They made those on Sunday morning for that 10 minutes where they got there 10 minutes early before class started. And then those paper flowers, along with other volunteers who made them, got attached to the vines and got used to decorate the hallways. And the kids think it's pretty cool when they get to be a part of the decorating team. And so you'll see that we put those on the vines. We made these little stations where we took the clip art that's provided in your digital downloads, we printed it out and mounted it on cardboard, and then what's behind this giant anteater here are just empty cardboard boxes, and those empty cardboard boxes we've stapled crinkled up roll paper to those to kind of make a little rock formation, and then we've attached some vines, some paper flowers, and things like that. And so we would have those periodically as you're going down the hallway, the giant anteater, the jaguar. We would hang some sloths or some monkeys using fishing line hanging down from the ceiling. And so as you went down these hallways, this hallway in particular was just jungle from side to side, top to bottom, all the way down. Above the doors, floor to ceiling, and then here's a little close-up of some of those paper flowers. And of course, like I said, the paper leaves were just attached in a lot of different ways. So that was our fun theme hallway. We also love to do a biblical themed hallway. So we did the hallway that sort of mirrors this one on the other side of our building is our 7 C's hallway. Okay, so as you start, you gotta, like in the front of our building is our worship center, the back of our building is our gymnasium. As the kids are walking from the front to the back, they actually walked through the 7 C's that we're talking about. So we did that with a couple of different things that we did. Because there is a color that goes with each C, we decorated the walls with roll tablecloth or roll paper from floor to ceiling in that color of that section. So you'll see here is the very first section in the hallway. This is our creation section. And so we put green tablecloths from floor to ceiling wherever we could. We also took we cut rectangles of that green tablecloth and put it inside the fluorescent lighting. So the light was green in that section of the hallway. And then we had like one scene that goes along with that daily theme on one side of the hallway. So for the creation theme, we had this artwork of the 6 days of creation that was in that area of the hallway. So we had, of course, the teaching poster in there on the wall. You can kind of see it there. It said, "This is your creation area." And then we came up with this kind of fun way to do a ceiling decoration. We went out and bought moving boxes, and we painted them the color of the 7 C's, and then there are just little pictures, little icons or clip art images that we attach to those that kind of, so for creation they would have like animal silhouettes and tree silhouettes and things like that, and we ended up just hanging those from one corner so they look more like a diamond than just a moving box. So we have people on there, the sun, the moon, the stars. So as you go through, we had 6 boxes, I believe 5 or 6 boxes in each area. So we did our creation area. and then we moved on to our catastrophe area. We went, our corruption area. Sorry, I got out of order here. So creation, then corruption. So of course we used our dark tablecloths going from floor to ceiling. We had our tree there, which was our little scene there for our for when sin entered the world. So as you progress down the hallway, then the next area, we of course hit catastrophe. We did blue tablecloths from floor to ceiling. We had the white boxes with blue icons on them hanging in that area. And then we had a little Noah's Ark scene against the side of the wall. To make this, this is, we printed the art, clip art, made some clouds out of cotton balls. It's hard to see that there. We have a ribbon rainbow going over top as well. We tried to incorporate as much of the scene as we could. This is a little bit of a three-dimensional ark. It's hanging, it's a flat piece, but it's hanging off of the wall with some fishing line. And then we made some waves out of that. I forget what it's called all of a sudden, but somebody knows what that's called, right? Tooling, yeah, something like that. And then it kind of forms different colors of blues and to make the waves there. So we've hit creation, corruption, catastrophe, and the next one is confusion. So we had gray tablecloths there. We ended up putting hello in a lot of different languages and hung that up. We had a lot of question marks hanging from the ceiling. We have a little Tower of Babel, a little ziggurat there as the scene. So as the kids walk through, they would have to, maybe fun for them to figure out what language that is as they're waiting in line to go into one of their rotations. And we had the gray boxes with some of those icons as well. When we get to Christ, as we talk about the birth of Christ, we did some silhouettes in front of we have a little courtyard there. And so these were the silhouettes that somebody painted on black cardboard, and we put up, and then we move on to the cross vignette that we made. We, of course, wanted to incorporate both the cross and the empty tomb. This was made out of 1-inch foam. That you can buy the 4x8 sheets of foam board from the hardware store, and that's what we carved the stone out of. The empty tomb is actually just a flat sheet of cardboard, and then we just used some wrapped paper boxes to kind of add some dimension and stuff there. And then as we get to the final C, the new heaven, the new earth, consummation, we did the gold lighting, we did gold tablecloth inside the lights, they're bright yellow, and then the new heaven and the new earth, and then those boxes there. So just a neat way to continually reinforce as the kids went to their classrooms every day, they could go creation, corruption, catastrophe, confusion, Christ, cross, consummation, write down every single day. And I did it enough times that I could say it that fast to you today. So, and then we have a third hallway in our church, and this is the hallway that our older kids tend to walk up and down. So the jungle hallway, our youngest kids, the 7 C's hallway, everyone kind of uses that hallway, but primarily that's the classroom of our first, second, and third graders. And then our fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, we created a cruising through the jungle at night hallway. And this was pretty cool. So of course, what we have done, we've done this many years. If you've seen any of my presentations before, we often make this a black light hallway. So again, we have those fluorescent lights, the big 2-foot by 4-foot square fluorescent lights, and over the years we have bought replacement bulbs for those that are black light bulbs that we just take the regular bulbs out, we pop those in every VBS, and it makes that hallway glow. And so as we first go into the hallway, there was one of our classrooms is all glass windows, so we printed sort of like a scene setter there of Rose the pink dolphin coming out, and hey, it reacted really well to the light. You can also see that we used those same type of vines that we used in our jungle hallway that were made out of the roll paper, and a lot of those leaves that we had, but we needed to do something special in this hallway to make everything glow, okay? So we had to use this neon paint on everything, okay? Now, we learned a really fun lesson because we had an unbelievable amount of these. We purchased these really inexpensive vines. I showed them to you in the jungle hallway that are like the ivy style vines. And we started off like painting each leaf with these. And then we realized this is a bad idea. And somebody goes, hey, let's throw them all in a trash bag, dump some paint in there, shake it up, and see what happens. And it worked. What a neat idea. So we were able to paint garbage bags full of these leaves. You know, I recommend you do that outside. And then once we had a bunch of those painted with the neon paint, they then would glow underneath the black light. We incorporated some Christmas lights in different patterns as well. We wrapped our building has like columns as you go down the hallway. We wrapped those in black roll paper and then just did little touches of the neon orange paint there. So we painted we threw ferns and different things in those trash bags as well and shook them up with the paint in them. And then we just ended up hanging those from the ceiling in a lot of different ways. We used a sparkle curtain to make a little bit of a waterfall. We had some lighting behind it to make it look like a waterfall at night. And then we also had some like swirly twirly lights that we put on the ceiling that kind of made like almost like a star pattern that went around in there. And so just not a ton of detail in this hallway. It's similar to our jungle hallway other than it's covered in glow paint. And then we used some wood paneling to make the little nose of a boat that was down at the end of the hallway, just sort of the nose of the boat as it starts rolling down the hall. And so this is where our older kids would go to their craft and science time as well. And it was, of course, their favorite hallway to go up and down in. And so a blacklight night jungle cruise is really great for those older kids. Wouldn't recommend it for the preschoolers, but maybe try out some of that neon paint and make that fun hallway as well. So that's our 3 hallways. Now let's move on to what we do in our welcome areas and sort of out in our foyers at our church. We want the kids from the moment they pull on our parking lot to know it's VBS. This is not a regular day. This is VBS. We line our entryway with big feather flags so that when they pull on, that is the first thing they see, color, bright, kids, everything. And then when they walk in the main doors, they're heading towards our worship center, which is where all of our kids go to check in. The very first thing, we always do a big welcome area. And so this welcome area, you'll see a lot of those pieces or similar pieces right down here in the front. These are all painted by our painting team. We kind of dream these up. We get 4-foot by 8-foot sheets of cardboard from a local box factory that we purchased, these blank sheets of cardboard. We also get 6-foot by 8-foot sheets for some of the bigger pieces that we use. And we paint these up. What we do is we have a team of about 15 to 20 folks who are our painting team. We have one artist who dreams this all up. She actually hand draws what the set is going to look like, what our welcome areas are going to look like, and then she's not only an unbelievable artist, but she's also a very organized person. Those don't always go together with people, but it does with her, and so she then can take every single piece of that and break it down into a giant paint-by-number system and know how many sheets of cardboard are needed for this, what color paint, how many gallons of that color paint we're going to need to make all of these things. She knows that 1 gallon of paint can do 8 or 9 4x8 sheets of cardboard and all this stuff. And then so we lock our gymnasium down for a 3-week period. We cover it with plastic tarp from edge to edge. and that is VBS Painting World for 3 straight weeks. We have some volunteers that'll come in during the daytime. Usually we run from about 6 o'clock at night till about 9 o'clock at night for those 3 weeks, where any volunteer can come in and paint. They're given an assignment. They have all of the materials laid out for them when they walk in the door. They have paint rollers, paint brushes, all the different color paint they need. There's a little piece of paper that tells them what they're going to be doing. I get to be the guy who rolls out like one whole sheet of cardboard as like blue. They say, go do that. And then other people will like paint animals and all these beautiful things that you have up there. And so we open that up to our church to come in the evening. And it's very organized, but she'll have these giant paint by numbers. We use overhead projectors. Still, I own probably almost all of the overhead projectors in the state of Ohio are in my storage closet. I've picked up every single one at every thrift store and garage sale I've ever seen. I only use about 2 or 3 a year, but I have like 6 in a closet because they're as good as gold to me. And they're very easy for our volunteers to use. Our painting director will copy things that she has hand-drawn onto transparencies so that people can then use those to trace the outline first in pencil or Sharpie onto the cardboard, and then they begin to paint it. One of the things that we make sure that we do when we're painting a lot of our things, you'll notice almost everything we paint, we do an outline in black around it. And that really allows it to pop. And so that's an extra step, but it is very important. You see all those colors get divided when you add that black outline to them. And I know the question on everybody's mind, what's with the cow, right? And so our artist loves cows, and she gets whatever she wants. And so if she wants a jungle cow, she gets a jungle cow. And she does give us months of her time every year. And so that's kind of a fun little thing that she has put it in the middle of our entryway, or we've hidden a cow in a lot of our sets over the years, and that's kind of a fun little thing. A couple years ago, we hid a cow every day in the set, and when the kids came in and they had a few minutes, they were staring at the set, where is the cow today? And so we love to incorporate fun little scavenger hunts throughout the day to keep the kids occupied so that they don't have any downtime. And so another welcome area right across the way from that is where our help desk is, where all of our admin people are. So we have just a little tree there with some toucans and some very colorful leaves. We kind of go, our set is maybe considered a little more abstract than realistic. That's our artist skill set. And so I say, play to your artist skill set. What you are good at, go for it. Another one of our favorite things from this year is what the kids got to walk through when they went from the foyer and into our worship center, because we made our main door a giant waterfall. And this is made almost entirely out of cardboard, okay? And so we, up above the door there, I'll zoom in on that real quick. Those are basically cardboard boxes that are wrapped in roll paper. They are hanging from the ceiling with little ceiling grid hooks, and so they're very lightweight, and they can hang easily from the ceiling. They're not really attached to the waterfall. They're kind of hanging there freely. And then on either side of our double doors going into our worship center, you see these are made out of basically cardboard boxes stacked on top of each other, starting high, and they progressively get lower. And then so then we did multiple layers to create the waterfall part. All that cardboard was wrapped in roll paper that we scrunch up to make it look like rocks and use a lot of staples to put those together. But we did multiple layers there. We have blue roll paper. We had the tooling as well. Then we put twinkle Christmas lights on it, and then we put the rain curtain or the shower, whatever that sparkly, sparkle curtain. We'll just call it sparkle curtain. And so it was flashing lights as well. And it was identical on both sides, sort of this almost like a ramp going down, almost like a water slide. And it was made entirely out of cardboard, so the kids wanted to go down it, but they were not allowed to go down it. And we made that very clear. We do a big contest every year, every weekday in VBS. As you can imagine, when you hang hundreds and hundreds of vines from the ceiling, and they're just barely hanging on there, the question on everybody's mind is, I know they're there on Monday, but are they there on Tuesday? And our decorations stay up all week and they don't get touched. A contest is a big part of what we do every day. The kids earn points for saying their memory verse and doing their go and do take-home papers. And we have a contest every, if they did the dress-up day or they did a team cheer for that day. We're giving out points to teams constantly. At the end of the day, we have 3 different winners, one from every age group. And we have a very simple rule. If you destroy a decoration, no matter how big or how small, you lose all your team points for that day. And we do that all week, and then we have a grand prize winner at the end of the week that has sort of won for the whole week. And so it is a big deal, and the kids are very good at telling if another team took down a decoration. And so it actually is just a kind of a fun way to reinforce that we worked really hard on making this look amazing for you guys. And I want the group that comes tonight, because we do a morning and an evening, and if there's a kid who comes for the first time tomorrow, I want them to have that exact same wow experience that you did when you walked in the door and you went, whoa, that's amazing. And so on the sides of our waterfall, we added some hand-painted greenery. You'll see that we have here some palm trees as well. Wanted to show you the backside and the bottom of these palm trees that we do. That is a carpet tube that we got from a whole bunch of these years ago from a local carpet store. You can go and talk to your carpet store and say, hey, I'd love to get a bunch of carpet tubes from you. If you can keep a few for me, they'll give them. They gave them to us. And so they come in 12 and 15-foot lengths, so you can cut them to shorter lengths and actually get multiple ones of them out of there. And so the palm frond or whatever is made out of just cardboard, and then it is attached with screws to that carpet tube that is wrapped in roll paper. And then we have a bunch of these stands around that we made years ago. We use them every year at VBS. They're just a simple 2x2 board that comes up about 4 or 5 feet with some legs on it. You just slide that over, pop one screw in there, and it stands on its own throughout the week. You might have noticed way over there against the wall the cool little hut that we made. It's got the yellow paper fringe. We made a bunch of those during VBS, and we made them of 2 different sizes. Kind of in our back end of our building, we made these giant ones that were about 6 or 8 feet tall. And over the years, we've accumulated a lot of thatching from all the different VBSs. And then this is actually a thatched umbrella cover. And so you can see we actually borrowed somebody's patio umbrella. And it's just a simple cardboard wall in a circle. You can check that one out. This one's made pretty much the same way, except for the roof. Rather than trying to make a giant cone, we just brought somebody's 10-foot patio umbrella in, put it on the stand, and that was actually the kids with adult supervision were allowed to go inside of those areas and play a little bit as they're moving from place to place. And I'll show you the smaller ones here in a little bit. Here's a picture of what the inside of that looks like. We didn't use the whole umbrella. We actually just used the frame of the umbrella. We took the fabric part off, and that was sturdy enough to hold the thatching up onto the ceiling, or as a ceiling for the little huts. All right, we got another giveaway. These are pretty cool. You saw them standing up back there. This is the themed flying banner. All right, so let's see who's getting those. Shelly Mosier and John Spear are getting a themed flying banner. So there you go, a nice little welcome area thing for you. All right, one moment, please. Okay. Now we're going to move on to what we do. We are so thankful that in our craft rooms, we've gone just kind of simple over the last few years. Previously, we used to go and decorate them thematically as well, but I really love what Answers in Genesis offers as these backdrops for your craft room. You might have seen them if you were downstairs in the craft and science areas. We put these up, and it creates a very quick and easy little stage, and they're made out of a fabric material, so as soon as VBS is over, all of them go in a small box on a shelf, and they come out next year. We have those for our craft rooms. We use those for our science rooms as well, and they do have them available for snacks. Our snack room is out of the way, so it doesn't get one of those, but I love those. We pop those up and decorate our craft and science rooms very quickly. So since that's all we do, I don't have any other pictures of those rooms for you. We're going to do our teaching rooms, and then we are going to finish off with our main set that we created. Of course, the teaching rooms you've seen right over there is the scene setter that you can purchase, the scene setter posters. We did our own, because we were a year ahead before the scene setters are ready. And you'll see most of the pieces that you see across the front here are from the set that we built. So that classroom set is designed to be a river, and you're taking a cruise. Every day you tell the kids in the teaching room, hey, let's all get on the boat together, and we're going to cruise on down the river. So we painted some cardboard pieces there in the middle to look like a river, and then some rocks and things like that. We did some more colorful panels on the side. So this boat that you saw, the same boat in our glow hallway, we made a bunch of these for the classrooms as well. I went to the hardware store and bought 4x8 sheets of wood paneling. We cut them, and they were actually double-sided. So one piece of paneling on the outside and another piece of paneling on the inside with just some wood boards in between of them. And then we just did some cardboard on top of them to kind of fill the gap, and then some painted pieces. We ordered the ship's wheel online and made a stand out of a 4x4 and a piece of plywood, and it actually did steer. So the teachers would stand near the wheel, and you're the captains of the ship heading down the classrooms, or heading down in the classroom to a different location. You'll see that we added some rocks and some trees and some animals and some fun colors on either side of that as well. That gave us a place for our puppet to pop out. I think the puppet would pop out kind of behind this yellow rock over there. It was tall enough that we had a chair behind it. The teacher could sit on the chair and then just pop the puppet up above the rock for the puppet area there. So we did that in those areas. A great way that I wanted to show you how to decorate your classrooms so that we can display the posters, the teaching posters. We again used roll tablecloth, and we did the 7 colors of the week just with roll tablecloth there, and that gave a nice little backdrop for the teaching posters to be displayed every day. This is our younger kids' classroom for the pre-primary, so they did not have as many teaching posters as the older kids, but you'll see that each day the color is talked about, and then you can go back throughout the week, and you have this great way to review the week as you're getting farther on down the week as you go through that. So that's a fun little way to do the teaching posters in the different classrooms. So here's our big classroom in action. This was our primaries. This was first and second graders were in this room. About 120 or 130 kids that would come in, and as they walked in the room, all their materials for the day were under their chair. We have 2 teachers that are up front teaching, going back and forth, and then when the puppet script time would come, they would go behind and do the puppet. So that kind of shows you that room in action. And another great thing that we love to do are exploration stations. And so for our pre-primary and toddler areas, we divide the teaching time in half. Half of it is the lesson with the teacher, and the other half is the guided play time. Every day, the play areas change and the activities that they're doing. And we had 3 different exploration stations for our areas. In each exploration station, we put a little boat for them to pretend like they're going down the river, put some water on the walls. We tried to make it look like a jungle canopy in one of our taller rooms. And so we went to the hardware store and bought a giant dark green tarp, and hung a bunch of vines off of that dark green tarp, and then hung that tarp to the ceiling with ceiling grid hooks everywhere. This was not easy, but it was pretty cool by the time we got it up there. So the kids went into that room, and it kind of felt like you were in the jungle. The lights did shine through the tarp enough that they were still able to see and do all of their activities. In some of our smaller exploration station rooms, we didn't do the jungle canopy. We hung some things from the ceiling. These are butterflies that we have collected over the years of VBS, and we just keep reusing them. And we also hung vines from the ceiling, some of those tablecloth vines and some of the paper vines and everything like that. Attached some animals to them. So as the kids were going through their play area, as they were doing their sand and water tables, we had the little huts in every corner so that they could do dress-up areas as well, and coloring stations for the younger kids. So those exploration stations are great. They do about 15 to 18 minutes of the lesson time with the teachers, and then they rotate into the playrooms, the exploration stations, where each day's teaching is put into a play activity for them as well. So those are a fantastic idea. So butterfly decorations are going to Donna Mueller and Monica Begman. All right. Okay, so now we're going to move on in our last few minutes to our main set. I always like to finish off with what we do with our main set. And of course, we were in the jungle this year, and you can see the scene setters that they have over there of the outpost. You can see the scene setter of the jungle cruise boat there. We, of course, make ours almost entirely out of cardboard. It's painted on cardboard, and then it's attached to stage flats. So you see, we have, in the center of our stage, we build a big 3-dimensional outpost. For the way that the drama goes this year, it starts kind of at the ticket area, and then you move into the jungle. So we actually refaced this area. So this was day 1. It was Jungle Jim's river expedition for day 1. And then we had a bunch of pieces of cardboard that were painted to make it look a little more rustic. And we slapped that up at the end of day 1 so that when we came back on day 2, we had taken that sign down. We were no longer, because we had cruised down out of that area. So when they came back for day 2, we're now out in the jungle and we're at the outpost. And so we added a bunch of gray cardboard and make it look like it's almost falling apart a little bit because it's been out in the jungle and you're out at the outpost and everything. And so that was our main focal point in the center of our stage. And so a lot of the drama takes place around this outpost throughout the week. We created an actual moving boat. So this was we have a 4-foot by 8-foot drum riser on wheels at our church, and that became a operating boat for the week. And because it was a heavy-duty drum riser, our entire drama team could stand on that boat and then roll away. And I was the guy behind the scenes pushing the boat like that, and then pulling it backwards and things like that. And so that's entirely made out of cardboard with a wooden frame. And it's 4 foot by 8 foot. We had a little dock there. The drama team actually walked across the dock, stood on the boat, and then Mr. Matt behind stage pulled it backwards. We played a little sound effect of the boat moving. The kids thought it was the coolest thing ever. When the boat pulled away with all the people standing on it, we had a little ship's wheel on there. We actually would just run to the classroom when the class time was over, grab the ship's wheel, run it up for the drama, put it there, and then run run it back to the classroom at the end, so that the captain was able to drive the boat. And so one of our more technical builders designed this frame that was able to attach, and then we just attached cardboard to it to be the face. It was just a couple of sheets of cardboard, the nose of the boat, and there was one on the backside, and then we bought the material online that we made the canopy for. It wasn't that expensive, and we cut that to size and everything like that. So that was the center of our stage. The center of our stage was the outpost, the jungle gyms area, and the boat, along with a lot of waves and things like that. And then the way our stage is laid out, we have two side screens, sort of, not too different than the stage that you see here, and we just love to decorate underneath each of those areas in just all things jungle. So we had all the jungle animals, trees, butterflies, everything that you can think of going underneath each screen. There's this really amazing python back here in the background that you can see, some toucans. Kind of off right outside that screen, we built a large tree with a tree house way up at the top that was kind of designed to look like there was a tree house off in the distance, and one of those days when they're out in the drama, a tree house came into it, so we added that to the scene. Probably the biggest wow part, but also the most difficult thing to build, was this 20-foot tall K-pop tree that ended up being in the back of our stage. So this was very difficult. Anytime you're doing anything 20 feet in the air, it's not easy, but this was large and heavy, but we figured it out. We have a great team of guys who come. We spend 3 weeks painting the set, and it takes us 3 days to build the set. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night with our volunteers, and then Thursday we're usually done and we're cleaning up and everything like that. And so you can see at the very top of that tree, this tree was probably about 12 feet wide at the top. We added a lot of great animals. We love to just incorporate as many animals as possible. So we had sloths and harpy eagles and macaws and orangutans and all that great stuff. Even a little pangolin over here. Those things are kind of scary looking, but they're cute. And then on the other side, we had one kind of side, I showed you the tree house, was sort of framing the set on one side. And on the opposite side, we had this waterfall that was coming down on the outside of our screen as well. And we had this beautiful giant silverback gorilla that one of our really talented artists painted. And so that is our set. I've got about 2 or 3 minutes left that I just want to tell you a little bit about how we do what we do. And every year I come up with a new little trick. I always are trying to come up with ways to make things a little bit easier. And one of the questions I get most of the time is, how do you cut cardboard? Because it's really, my hand hurts and all that stuff. I came up with a new little thing that I'd never tried before. It worked really well. I ordered cardboard cutting jigsaw blades. And if you have people who are good with jigsaw blades, I cut every single one of the clip art animals I cut out with jigsaw blade this year, and it worked really well. Ordered these online, like $10 for a 3-pack of these blades. Maybe you have a volunteer that says, I'll help as long as the power tools are involved. This is a great job for them to do. I still have 9 out of my 10 fingers left, so this is great. But I would give this to a very skilled person if you're gonna use this, but I was able, the giant silverback gorilla that's over here, I probably cut that out in like 2 or 3 minutes, which I used to do it with just a razor knife and spend about a half hour on it. So if you have skilled people, that might be something for you to look into. When we build our main set, we have a little rule. We use screws, we don't use staples. And the reason is screws come out a lot easier. And so they take longer time to put in, but they do come back out. And I would encourage you, what we do, our VBS set goes on to it. We divide it between about 3 churches. It goes out to those 3 churches. There are some pieces we keep, some small animals that we know we're going to use again, some of the rocks and the grass and the vines and things like that. We know that those will go with multiple themes, so we'll hang on to those that we can store, but the big pieces, we just can't keep them, and so we gladly give them to about 3 other churches, and then those churches give them to another church. My one rule is, once it leaves my church, it does not come back to my church, okay? And yes, it's a very important rule. And so, and I don't care where it ends up. It's made out of cardboard, so after about 3 or 4 VBSs, I assume it's not going to be very useful anymore, but it blesses some other churches in our community and that we were connected with. We use a lot of, very similar to when you walk to the back of the side. Everything on my stage is built the same way. We use stage flats, which is some sort of frame that we attach our cardboard to, and we use stage jacks, which are L-bracket legs. Okay, so if you look on the back side of, this is kind of a peek behind the curtain, we have large stage flats with jacks. This is not this past year, but it's very similar to this past year. This would be basically what the back side of the big outpost, the big centerpiece looks like. I have a garage full of 4-foot by 8-foot stage flats. They are 2x4 or 2x3 framing with a piece of 1/4-inch plywood on the front. That's sometimes called Luan. We have a lot of those as 4x8s. We have 3-foot by 8-foot, 2-foot by 8-foot, 4-foot by 4-foot, all different sizes. And we basically build a giant jigsaw puzzle every year. And so we know we lay out the pieces of cardboard that make up the building, and we say, okay, I wish I could just attach this to the wall of the church, but people frown upon that idea. And so I'm going to build a quick wall right in front of the church wall that I can attach anything to and nobody gets mad at me. And so we are able to screw all that cardboard to it. We build the wall, we attach the cardboard. It's almost like wallpaper. And so we do that on a large scale, that we go up as high as almost 20 feet tall to hit our ceiling. We do the same thing on a very small scale on the back side of our plants and our rocks and our silverback gorilla. All that is the cardboard with 1 or 2 screws into one of these L brackets up on the stage. And the higher you go, the lighter you should build it, the thinner lumber you should use. And so, because it's heavy, and so you want to be able to get it up there. You want it to be sturdy enough that it doesn't fall down, but you want it to not break your back as you're trying to get it up there. I use 3 different types of tape when I'm using. I use painter's tape. I put painter's tape on the wall before I tape anything else to the wall. So I tape to the painter's tape, I don't tape to the wall. Marvelous tape is an artist type tape that is also residue free and will not ruin your walls as well. But that also is a good way if you're taping directly to a wall with small little sections. And then I use carpet tape, the clip art animals that are across the front here, the silverback gorilla, the anteater, and things like that. You can kind of peel that back a little bit and peek behind it. I just use little squares of double-sided carpet tape, lay it out flat, and then trim it out with the jigsaw blade is how I did that this last year. We own hundreds of ceiling grid hooks. If you have a hanging ceiling, these are 2 different styles of hooks that we hung the waterfall with, and also any other heavy, like the wood things that I showed you in the jungle hallway. All of those hang with hooks like this that we keep in a bucket and reuse every year. And one of the other big questions that people ask is, how do you do your signs for your teams? Those signs are just a square of plywood, a 3/4-inch plywood square, about 12 inches by 12 inches, a pipe flange, and then a piece of PVC pipe that goes up, and then an elbow over, and then we hang the team names. Those go down our worship center, and as the parents come in, they find their child's team. That's where they check their child in. That's where they check their child out. I'm out of time. I want to tell you one last thing. Everything I talked about today, I have walked through during our VBS that week. I walked through and I videoed every single decoration, put about 13 videos out. It's on the Answers YouTube page. You can see me walking through, describing everything I showed you today. You can see again on there, and I'll tell you how it's made, and we'll show you a little peek behind the curtain on the backside as well for that. Thank you so much. Go make an amazing environment for your kids to be wowed as they come and learn about the most important thing they could ever learn about. Thank you, guys.